Hello and welcome back once again to the HR Social Hour Half Hour Podcast. This is episode 100. Woo! Jon and Wendy. Welcome back, Steve Browne.
Surprise!
I'm your host, Jon.
And I'm Wendy. Full circle. We are full circle, Jon.
Wendy, on Star Joe's, I'm the one that usually says it's always our last episode. It's like my gag is, hey, hope you enjoyed it because we're done after 10 years. This is not what I'm going to say at episode 100 because we're certainly not done.
No.
But yes, there is some beautiful symmetry to
there
this.
Is, for sure.
First off, congratulations,
Yes.
Wendy. I can't believe we're here.
Congratulations to you as well. I know how many, was it like 90 or something where I was kind of like, wait, what, where are we?
90 something is where I had to drop the edit button.
Yeah.
Can't believe we're here.
Awesome.
And I want to start off by saying that we are dedicating this episode to the memory of Callie Zipple. And Callie, we love you. We miss you very much. Thank you for everything you did for us and for having us be part of your world and your podcast and everything you had going. We felt like it was the appropriate time to do that. And so I want to start with that. And Wendy, it's hard to believe we're recording this right after our first chat of the year, which was absolutely astounding.
That was bananas. Oh my God.
Yes. In my world, it was bananas. The turnout was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The number of people involved, the new people that came in, thanks to Nicole Roberts for helping out and for being willing to partner with us and to make it a crossover with Job Hunt Chat. The cool thing though, is this episode comes out right before our next chat, which is going to be great because we are really, really fortunate. The chat is being sponsored by Mike Zipple Jr. and the folks at Centennial Inc.
Thank you to Mike and Centennial for it. I think it's going to be another fantastic chat. I'm excited. We're going to keep the recruitment theme going and talk about the upper echelons of hiring and, hiring the executive director level folks. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, it's always fun to talk with Mike, but I think it's going to be a great topic for this group.
I think so too. And it's kind of neat to have some symmetry or connection between the two chats this month. I think with having the first one being more about maybe people that are in search themselves. Now we're talking about really more from the recruiting perspective, finding those higher level people. How do you do it? How do you do it well? And there are certainly tips and tricks I think that we're going to be able to gain from Mike and the folks at Centennial.
Definitely.
We're really excited about that. Definitely welcome everybody back. And again, we're just thrilled that we got off to such an amazing start with that initial conversation.
2020, here we go.
I've been teasing this episode for a while.
Hopefully no one's disappointed by the guest.
Look, I can remember going to Cincinnati to meet Steve. I think it was the first time I met him in person. Maybe it was the second time. And we were sitting down at lunch and I said, hey, Steve, Wendy and I are going to start this podcast and we'd really like you to be our first guest. And would you be willing to do it? And he said, yes, I would. Absolutely. And he did. And it was amazing. And about 50 episodes in, give or take, so about a year ago, we're talking and he says, hey, I want to come on episode 100. I want to be your guest on 100. I said, absolutely. Are you kidding? Why wouldn't we do that? It is, again, this beautiful symmetry. And it was so funny to think, here I am falling on my sword, begging this guy to get on our show. And he's coming back and asking us to be at 100. I don't know how you introduce him, Wendy. I'm going to let you do that or do the best you can, and we will get started from there.
Well, you know me. I like the short bios. I like them short and sweet. And, trying to go with some symmetry, had to get a little creative. So introducing everyone, because y'all know him. Y'all know Steve Browne. And all I'm going to say is lava lamps, llamas, and laughter. Steve, welcome back. Welcome back. We are so excited to have you. So excited.
Great to be here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
100 episodes. I am so proud of you both. It's crazy.
It's insane. But we do have to start the same way we always do. Steve, what's in your glass?
I have an Urban Artifact Operation Plowshare Blackberry Midwest Fruit Tart.
Nice. Well, I like the sours.
So good.
I like the sours.
Yes.
So I had we were at Eponymous last night and I had an apple pie sour that they made.
Ooh.
It was lovely. It wasn't too tart. It wasn't over the top. Just a tiny hit of cinnamon in it. Yummy.
I need to get out and see South Dakota and
Yes,
Eponymous because I know John's been there, got the hat, everything.
I did. I won a hat. Who would have thought beer bingo in
Right?
South Dakota? I'd get a hat, and I wear it proudly around Richmond, and nobody's got any idea what it means. Steve, like we mentioned, thrilled to have you back, and it's interesting pulling back the curtain. We were recording this show on January 13th of 2020. The first time you were on the show, or the first time we recorded, and as our first guest, and as that patient zero guinea pig, whatever you want to call what you were, the first person that we actually recorded with that wasn't just me and Wendy was January 15th of 2018.
Wow.
Almost 2 years to the day. Man, you've had a lot going on since then, just like we have. But can you talk a little bit about, we'll talk more about the books in a minute, but maybe some of the things as far as for you with La Rosa's, with Sherm, just some of the, what's been going on in those 2 years since we first spoke?
It's been a wild ride, to be honest. It's fun to watch how you guys have grown, and it happens across the group that's been on the show. I was listening to the Where Are They Now episode, and you just go, wow. I mean, we just forget how much happens to us because we're in the middle of it. La Rosa's continues to be wildly successful, and I've been doing a lot of more organizational design work, which is fascinating. But the big thing that I've been working on that I'm most proud of is we're doing development based on me meeting with the general managers. I get with them every other month, and we sit and talk about people. Because we were taking a look and we said about 95% of everybody's day involves people. And we tend to think of work instead of people. We think of work as separate. Then when I found out, hey, when you talk about work, what are you talking about? And they go, oh, well, Bob or Larry or Susie. You go, oh, so it's the people who are doing the work. And it's allowed us to build relationships. And I've always felt welcome in the stores when I go out to them. But now that I get to go and see them, we have conversations. Yes, we'll go over tasks and agendas and items or employee relations situations, but we just talk. And I've seen them grow and develop and get angry and get happy. We laugh a lot more, and it's been huge. I really want to see workplaces humanized. I think you have to show it. You can't just keep saying it. It's funny. The number one thing they want is time and attention, which I think is an incredible human characteristic. And I hate that we've lost that in the workplace. We felt that is something to be put to the side. I'm trying it. They're like my little experimental bubble, and they're fun. They push back, and man, it's tough. But I love it. Sherm, wow. Wild ride. I mean, since we've been here, the CEO has changed. There's been ups and downs from the community in response to that. And I like that people raise their voices. It's funny. One thing I'm learning that I don't like in social media is we want to have everybody's opinion as long as you agree with mine. And I think that's just missing. We've missed dialogue and discourse, and it's okay. Disagreement's awesome. And if you say, hey, I can't do this anymore, I need to walk away or make decisions, I absolutely support you. But let's talk to each other. The board continues to be the best thing I've ever done. I continue to see growth, change, some change that was probably overdue when it looks as an organization. And at the same time, 90% healthy. How about that? Let's just say that.
Fair enough.
There are some people who transitioned. Some probably could have transitioned a long time ago. But what's fun is, and I'm so glad you dedicated it to Callie. When Callie came on to Sherm, that was the first time they had hired somebody as a young field service director, ever. For her to make such an impact in such a short period of time was phenomenal. And for them to step out and make that decision, you see now a lot more diversity of people that they're hiring, which is incredible. And also you see diversity in age, gender, race, you name it. Inclusion is much more a factor. Not that it wasn't before, but you walked into an organization that had more long-term team members. And sometimes I come from an organization with long-term team members. It's a blessing, but it's also a challenge because you may not get as many fresh perspectives. It's funny, this year, into 2020, we are adding 4 board members, which is the most we've ever added. Normally it's 1 or 2, wow. But we've had some people roll off and a few people who needed to unfortunately step down. So to have 4 new people in a group of 13 is a big shift. I've met them. They're outstanding. I am so excited. I think the next term, I get to serve for 2 more years. and then I'm going to disappear and never do HR again.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
I think the next 2 years are very exciting. I really do.
That's fantastic. I like that. I like your ongoing enthusiasm for the organization, for HR. Yeah, we would miss you if you left, but we all have to step away at some point. I like to dream about retirement. When one of those books goes viral and you're making millions and millions of dollars,
Absolutely. Rolling in money.
Yeah, you never know. I am glad that you're here and you're talking about it. And I totally agree that we've kind of forgotten how to disagree and have conversations. And so I am seeing more conversations coming up, which I think is good. So hopefully we'll continue on those. Your first book was fun, HR on Purpose.
It was mediocre. Way to go.
Yeah, it was okay. A few people have read it and they're like talking about it. And they're still talking about it. They're still reading it, which is fantastic. It's great that it's still going. People still want to buy it. People are still sharing it. Somebody recently posted that they gave it to a coworker or someone that reported to them, and they read it and just loved it. So I think that speaks volumes to what you're putting out there. For you, what's been the biggest surprise since releasing the book?
I don't know if there's one. I have several.
We'll let you break the rules.
All right. Being a nonconformist, I'm going to anyway. I was told by Matt Davis, who's the publisher at SHRM, that on average a book sells 500 copies. And when you go, that's not possible, I go into a Barnes & Noble or I go into a bookshop and it's filled with volumes of books. He says, but honestly, the authors, not every author is a well-known name. And if you go through the stacks, you'll see names you don't recognize. And I go, 500 bucks. Before I came on, I said, hey, by the way, how are we doing? It's sold over 12,000 copies.
Nice.
And I'm just like,
nice.
What? Wow. What does that mean? So that huge surprise, because no idea. It just can't grasp it, to be honest. But the reach of it is what has been the biggest surprise. Last night after the chat, someone started to follow me from Barbados. And I said, hi, what's going on? She says, read your book, loved it. And I went, what? Barbados? So in the last month, I'm trying to compete with the chat. I'm not up to 150 countries yet. But I have, in the last 2 months, I got a note from a person in Portugal who said she was going to quit HR, read my book, and staying in the field. Nice. I got another one from Bermuda, several from Africa. I'm big in Kenya. Big.
Who would have thought?
But what's interesting, there's Nellie. I don't know. Nellie Maluki, I think her name is. Nellie recently came onto Twitter, came onto LinkedIn, and she's trying to get her SHRM certification. So she wrote me and said, can you help me get my SHRM certification? So I connected her with some people, and now she's going to get it. And she's quoting my book on LinkedIn. And then I'm getting requests to meet HR people from Kenya. And I can't fathom this. I'm from Ohio.
Right?
I'm from this small town in Ohio, and there are people all over the globe. This last Friday, I talked to a large company, a national company, and I talked to their HR team, and they're reading the book for their HR team. And we got to talk about it at St. Norbert College, where Matt Stolick is. It's now officially in their library. To have a book in a library, that is crazy. And they made it part of their formal curriculum. So if you take the graduate course at St. Norbert's, you'd read my book.
Nice.
It continues to astonish me. And, it's a group of stories when it comes down to it.
If memory serves, I believe somebody did a HR on Purpose conference.
I've had two so far.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
If we're going to do this right, Baton Rouge just did their entire conference
That's what it was,
on it. Yeah. And then right after the book first came out, Mohammed Usman from Pakistan did a 3-day conference on the book and had banners and activities. And then I got to do Skype and talk to his entire HR team from Pakistan, from the same chair that I'm sitting at talking to you now. And he did all this before he gave them the book.
Wow.
And then at the end, he gave them the book, and I had written their name in each one of them. So when they got it, it said Jon, Wendy, and it was personalized to them. And they just went, oh my gosh. And I thought, I can't put into words. I really can't. And I am not a person who's ever short of talking. But man, the response I've been getting is humbling every day.
Love it.
Let's talk about how that kind of spins out then. So now you're in the process of HR Rising. I know you're speaking to it and have started the process as best I know. What have you learned, Steve, from the first book that you're applying now in terms of process and, as you prep and try to get things ready? What did you learn and what are you not doing this time maybe that you've learned from it?
The first time I would write in spurts, where I would write a chapter or a chapter and a half and then do not sit back down for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And this time it was funny. I put together, or Sherm put together the contract. I'm reading through it. It's the same contract. Yeah. It says due by January 15th. That was December 1st. And I went, oh, well. So now I'm writing constantly. Every day I'll write 1 to 2 hours after work. I've found it more invigorating. I know it's challenging. I've always been the kind of writer that sits down, writes, and I'm done. I don't write, rewrite, think through, all this kind of stuff. I don't know why. It's just much more, ongoing thought than it is metered. I must say this, I must say this, I must say this. It was funny. One of the chapters I'm writing is called Crushing Inertia, because too often we get stuck in life. It happens to all of us. Sometimes it's very natural, and sometimes we just can't get out of it. And ironically, when I got to that chapter, I couldn't write. I think the other thing I've learned, though, and I've watched from, other people who've written books after I have, Tim Sackett, Charlene Lobby put another book out there, and several other people, both in SHRM and outside SHRM. I read people's voices, and I hear people's voices. And I've had people tell me when they read the book, my first book, that they hear my voice. And I went, oh, well, I want to remain true to that. So I'll go back through a chapter and go, is this really me talking? I can't pretend to be somebody else. I know there are authors who are more theoretical or more data-driven, and I'm a storyteller, always have been. So I want to tell stories that are genuine, but also hopefully cause you to be emotionally charged. I'm hoping in this book it kind of upsets you and makes you think about action, because I think it's needed. The whole premise is, how do you lead from where you're at, instead of how do I lead when I get a certain level, title, or position, or a certain level of compensation, or a certain number of people who work underneath me. I think we all have the ability to lead, and in HR, we choose not to. And I think that's a shame, because we get to work with people. And people are, like I said with my GMs, they're not any different than anybody else I've ever met. If I give somebody my time and attention, that's more important than anything else I can do. You guys both have kids. You know that the thing they want more than anything is your time and attention. That's it. Affirmation absolutely comes in it. If that's the case, boy, we have the keys to the kingdom. We can go crazy inside organizations just by leading through giving people basic things. I don't think this is a big Rubik's Cube. I do have a few bold things that I can't tell you about, because then no one will read the book.
Understand.
I think the other thing I've learned is I'm enjoying this more. The last time I really felt pressed, like I needed to crank through it and get through it. I know that I have a deadline, but I'm enjoying it. I get done and I'm like, oh, wow, that felt good to get off my chest and get out there. So I hope it resonates with others.
Did you mention it was January 15th?
Yes. Yeah.
So
they gave me to the end of the month.
Okay.
I've told the story before. When I wrote the first book, I wrote 9 chapters and thought, I'm done. This is amazing. And Sherm came back and said, hey, good start. And I went, oh. So the first book, I had a goal of 30,000 words, and this one's supposed to have 45,000. And right now I'm at 34. And I feel I have a lot more to write, but it's going to happen.
Awesome.
It'll come together. And then it'll be out for SHRM 20 in San Diego.
That was going to be my next question.
Nice.
Is what's the target for the release?
But I'm not speaking about it. Ha ha ha. I'm going to do something that I'm also going to get a chance to do in Alabama It's called It's Okay to Be Human in HR.
Nice. I like it.
Great.
Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. Let's turn focus back to us because this is all about us today.
100. You need like a sound effect to go, or something like that.
Right.
Do it.
Don't tempt me, Steve.
Do it. You bleeped other people because they cuss. Do you want me to cuss so you can do it?
I'm happy to add some whoop in there.
Put something in.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to thank you, Steve, because you've been one of our biggest cheerleaders, and we so appreciate all that you've done to help promote the podcast and the Twitter chat and support the community that brought together or continue to grow. And just after that last night, it's just growing by leaps and bounds, which is just phenomenal and fantastic and insane. We're not going to put you on the spot and make you pick a favorite episode unless you want to pick one. We'll let you because
I would say this one and the first one. The guest was really good.
That guest was phenomenal. We had a few complaints, but you can't please everybody. But what keeps you listening and being a part of this community?
The thing that continues to astonish me is that you've given voice and visibility to people that people should know. Too often when it comes to, I hate the word, influencers and lists and stuff like that, and you guys have been on lists and so have I, and I'm very thankful for that people recognize the effort that people put out. But I think some people get credibility and it's shallow and it's hollow. Yours is not. Yours is genuine. You've brought people's voices forward that are doing the work of HR. And no other podcast does this in our field, not one. It's funny. I'm watching some other podcasters, good friends of ours, who are now interviewing people you used to interview. And I go, and they wouldn't have interviewed them because they don't have, umpteen thousand followers or umpteen thousand posts or a blog or things like that. But they're doing work and impacting the workplace and making people's lives better. They've also been funny. I love hearing the laughter. When I hear other people laugh, you go, I guess there is laughter in the workplace, especially from HR people who are really soulless wraiths. But it's funny when you hear the international episodes and you just hear the joy and the exuberance from the people. When you interview the students, the Wonder Women episodes, where honestly, areas that we just tread so lightly on, when instead of having open conversations, it's made HR more reachable and tangible. And you should be commended for that, because even the people who have been on the show, they take pictures when they get together. They tweet when they have lunch together if they happen to travel across the country and see each other. They can't wait to talk to each other all the time. It's given us the thread that the community needed. There are other chats that have done this, other things that happen. And those have changed, such as Next Chat at SHRM has evolved. But you guys have said, no, we're going to stick to this. And what's funny is last night was a huge example of that. It was open. It's the Kevin Costner, you build it and they'll come. It just missed, Shoeless Joe Jackson in the cornfield. I can't wait for every Thursday. And I know that sounds like I'm sucking up, but you're the host and I should.
Yes, you should.
I do. I look forward to every Thursday. And, you guys are a part of my workouts. You're a part of my commutes. You're a part of my day. And my day is better because of what you do. To pick one episode, it's just like when you say, so who's your favorite mentor? Bob. And then Karen calls and goes, oh, thanks, man. Well, thanks for missing me. The other thing is that I think is really a testament to what you do is it's a conversation, and you see people pull their guards down. Very few episodes have I noticed, including the ones, John, you've done with vendors. Very few episodes do I hear people try to toe the party line or sound corporate-y or use a bunch of catchphrases. They finally, you can hear them almost exhale and go, oh, I get to be myself. So to have a podcast that captures that, especially in our field, is amazing.
Yes, thank you.
You are extremely kind to say that, Steve. And I will tell you that my barometer for guests, particularly those that don't have a huge voice out there, if you don't know them and I know it's a good one. And I've done this. You know this. I've called you or I've texted you and said, "Wait till you hear XYZ." And if they move me the way I think they move me, I know they're going to blow you away. I love that. Like, again, so you are my, like I said, you're my barometer in this when it comes to those that are new. And I think Wendy and I talk a little bit about that in 99. I think it really is been so much fun to meet so many phenomenal people that are doing things in our business, trying to be good, trying to do the right things that you don't know. And how did they find us? We don't, we ask them, how'd you find us? How did you get involved? But thank you for being involved, because then we have these conversations to decide, who do we want to introduce to the community, and who's doing things to make things better and are cool. And at the end of the day. And so again, I always say, though, it's particularly when there's somebody I know that I don't think I love shooting that note or getting in touch with you to tell you, hey, I can't wait till you hear this person, because they're going to floor you. And that's my
and the thing that I've tried to hold to when it comes to social media is I believe good work deserves to be shared. I think I'm an island when it comes to that, because most people publish and post, hey, here's my stuff. Hey, here's my stuff. And I would rather take that and use the amplification that I've been fortunate to have to go, you need to listen to HR Social Hour because. You need to you need to be in the Twitter chat because. And if people are kind enough to listen to me and join you, then we get better together.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about 2020 to make it about you again.
It's about time.
Beyond the book. Beyond the book, what else are you excited about for 2020? You mentioned briefly, it sounds like maybe you're going to be Alabama SHRM National. Like, what else do you have going on? Conferences, engagements, anything going on like that?
I'm going to speak at Alabama SHRM, Tri-State SHRM up in Connecticut, which is Massachusetts, Connecticut, and another state. I don't know what state it is. Maybe Rhode Island? I don't know. We're at a casino. Who cares?
Sounds good.
It's with Mike Spinelli, and he's fantastic.
Oh, great.
So,
good.
New York SHRM, which I'm very excited about. We've been talking for years to do. Then that'll be in the fall. And then I have a few other conferences that I'm doing. One virtual conference that I'm doing where I'm supposed to be a keynote for an hour and a half to a computer screen, which should be interesting. And then, but I'm speaking at local businesses. Here at the end of February, there's a local hospital that asked me to come and talk to all of their leadership teams. So there's going to be 360 people in healthcare, and talking to them about what is talent really. And man, that excites me. And they're going to buy pizza, which is awesome. Because I went to my CEO. I said, "So, can we feed 360 people?" He goes, "Sure." I went, "Oh, that was awesome." So it was funny. I saw Taya Jackson just yesterday put, what are your resolutions? And everybody responded back, "I don't have resolutions," or "I do have resolutions," and here they are. I was interested. I was in a group of people, and I said, "So, what's coming up in 2020?" I don't know what happens tomorrow. I'm not that guy. I go with the flow. I am that hippie. It's not some shtick. I'm just like, hey, it's tomorrow. It's Tuesday. What's going on? And I go with it. So the reason I do that is not to be trite at all or avoid what you're saying. I don't want to miss the people. I can't. So
Well, but it sounds like you've got multiple things already lined up.
Yeah.
You're not entirely hippie, like just, hey, whatever comes up next week.
Other people say, "So, can we put marketing stuff out?" I'm like, okay, sure. I'm very humble. I never take it lightly when I get a chance to talk to our peers. I don't. I think there are people that do a great job at this, and it's very much, they do a good job. We're different people. I would rather talk and then get off the stage and meet everybody in the room. So anytime I get a chance to be in front of people, and I'm talking to a non-SHRM event in DC in June, but I got to gauge things. The other thing is SHRM. I mean, the board's a huge position. I'm on the governance committee this year. I've been on the audit committee, on the comp and bens committee, and finally the governance committee. So I've been on every facet of the board. And the governance committee is exciting because you help govern the board and pick future board members. Huge, huge thing. I'm excited.
Very nice. Well, Steve, it's now time for an abridged version of the question connection, because we've switched it up. We've got some new questions for 2020. I already talked to you about movies and music and all of that, so we're just going to do our new questions with you. If people want to know what your favorite movie is, they got to go listen to the first one.
Absolutely. I like it.
When you were young, what career did you dream of having?
I was stumped by this. Because I've been this guy who goes, well, that's interesting. I wanted to be someone who impacted others. I really wanted to be somebody who made a difference. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know that that was a profession or a career, but I wanted to be someplace where, what I did mattered. I wasn't really sure where that was going to go. I hope that has happened over the years, but I don't know that I was so set on, hey, I want to be a policeman, or hey, I want to be a fireman. I just wanted to be someone who made a difference.
I know you're the nonconformist, Steve. I'm going to ask you to keep it as close to one as you can. A new HR professional comes to you. And I say new, it could be emerging. It could be somebody that's coming into the industry, because I love how many people we seem to be coming into the community that are trying to get into HR, join what we do. But they come and ask you for one piece of advice about the industry and their career. What do you tell them?
Be genuine. People want us to be human. And for too long, we haven't been. We've tried to put on a facade or some sort of mantle that says we represent a certain portion of the organization, whether that be all the negative stuff that you hear. And it's funny, I listened to the early episodes and I hear people describe HR as we're the no people, we're the compliance people, all the stereotypes. And it's 2020. Doggone it. Genuine, faults and all. I find that when you're genuine, people understand that about you and they'll come talk to you, much more so if you come as the HR person. Do I get another one?
Yes.
I didn't want to disappoint. I think the other one is have fun. Doggone it. Had a guy in my office today. He goes, you really do have all this stuff in your office. I said, yep. He goes, and he just kept looking around the room. And he says, can I touch stuff? I'm like, sure, man, go crazy. And, he's a person late in his career. And he says, I miss this. I wish I would have been more myself when I came to work instead of putting on some other face. I said, I learned that a long time ago. Now, I know that I'm over the top. I think you need to have fun. Life's way too short, as we know. I mean, not to dwell on something. Callie was 24.
34.
34. Still.
That's still young. Still very
Still young. I'm reminded of her every day. She's somebody who enjoyed life, enjoyed being fun and laughing and, being a little raucous, being a little inappropriate just to get people to giggle. We need more of that, especially in HR.
For sure. I'm going to agree with that. All right. Last question, Steve. It's Steve Browne Day all around the world. What are we doing to celebrate?
I don't know. I would be so embarrassed by that. We would have tie-dye T-shirt cannons, and we would shoot at people, not to people. We wouldn't just shoot into the crowd. We'd be like, people would have to duck. There would be alpaca rides, or like alpaca bingo. If you get spit on, you're out. Stuff like that, and a lot of music, tons of music. Rush, U2, Beatles. As much as you could cram into it, just to let people let loose and enjoy themselves.
What are we eating?
Pizza.
I was like, better be eating that pizza.
Absolutely. Best pizza in the world.
Steve, I would say you survived the question connection. We've started changing them up about every 50 episodes. And so these are the new ones. Those of you that listen to the next episode where you get to hear them all with the full suite of questions. But Steve, I cannot thank you enough. We say it a lot, and we are just incredibly fortunate to have you in our corner to be cheerleading for us as you do. And when you asked me a year ago or so to come on episode 100, I thought, this is crazy. I was so appreciative of the fact when we sat down to talk about you doing episode 1 that you're coming back to us to say, I want to do 100 because I really appreciate and love what you're doing. This is the Mutual Appreciation Society, as I call it, with Sarah Noel Wilson. Wendy and I just appreciate it so much. I can't fathom anybody listening to the show that is not connected with you. However, if they're not, if this is their first time hearing you, how do they find you out there via social media?
The best 2 places are Twitter and at @SBrowneHR. There's an E on the end of Brown. And on LinkedIn, just understand, as I said in the first episode, if you connect with me, you better be ready to connect because I'm intentional. I will make sure to get to know you because I don't want to collect you. I want to find out the amazing human that you are.
We'll have that in the show notes. Wendy, how about you? What's the best way for the listeners to find you?
Best way is on my blog, mydailyjourney.com, daily D as in dog, AILEY. And of course, the second and fourth Sunday of each month, you will find me on Twitter at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as part of the HR Social Hour Twitter chat. And again, a huge thank you to Mike Zipple and Centennial for sponsoring this next chat. How about you, John?
Find me at hrsocialhourpodcast.podbean.com. Top left-hand side of the screen, 3 little lines, open them up, access to all my contact information there. As we're going to say throughout this year, if you are an international listener, please contact us. We want to send you a gift. Would love to connect and talk to you, but definitely want to send you a gift of appreciation for being part of the community and listening to the show. I want to take a minute again just to thank everybody that's listened this far, has listened for 100 episodes. Wendy, here's to many, many more. Congratulations, my friend. I love you. I'm glad we're here together. We've made it this far. We're gonna keep this train going.
As long as it keeps being fun.
As long as it keeps being fun. And those of you who heard 99 know that's what we said until it's not fun. And we'll put out one 5-minute episode at the end saying thanks for all the fish. See you later. But so for the HR Social Hour podcast, I'm John.
And I'm Wendy. And as always, be sure to connect,
give back, and network. Take care, everybody.
We'll see you soon.